What's up, YouTube? Nate, the old school otaku here, and while I sit here with this lovely heart-shaped box of chocolates, that's right, guys, it is that time of year. It is the weekend of love. This Sunday is Valentine's Day, the day where those of us who have found love do think about and celebrate that love. And those of us without, well, we loathe everyone else. But the good news for you guys this year, there is Deadpool to see either way. However, as this is a anime show, and as much as these chocolates are awesome, let's talk about 5 anime that I own which have some form of love story in it. To find out which ones, stay tuned. And welcome back. Well, I think this is about the last time I'll throw around this lovely box of chocolates. That's actually for Ruchan. We do celebrate Valentine's Day, though we also have a tendency to celebrate White Day as well. So while I do like to give her chocolates and she enjoys them for Valentine's Day, she gives me chocolates too, and then I give her something white for White Day. And those of you who don't know about White Day, look it up on YouTube. Happens on the exact same day 1 month later, and usually it involves the guy giving a girl something white that's often way more expensive. But I digress. We're going to talk about anime. Now, this list isn't, your standard list of lovey-dovey anime because, well, let's face it, as much as I enjoy a good melodrama like the next guy, and really, I do, actually, a lot of times, love stories, romance anime, things like that, it's just too hard-hitting, too over the head, and oftentimes it just winds up falling flat. There's not a lot of interesting things going on in animes like that, so there's actually very little of that I generally own, and even less still that I feel obligated to really tell everyone about. Now, the 5 series or movies or whatever, the 5 different animes that I chose to talk about today all share one thing in common, and that is there is some form of love story in them. But the majority of them, that's not really the point of the show, or at least generally upon first watch, that's not usually the main plot or whatever. Each one of these does have some form of romance in it, and unfortunately, I am going to give away probably a little bit of spoilers for each of these, so if you haven't seen them, I recommend you pause, go watch them, and then come back and and listen to me talk a little bit more about them. But or if you just don't care, you can feel free to go ahead. So real quickly, I'm going to at the beginning of each of the reviews where I talk about the show, I'm going to give you guys a chance to skip ahead once the spoiler spots happen. But without further ado, let's get started with number 1. And first up on my list of epic love stories is one very, very epic love story. I'm talking about Red Line. Now, for those of you who have seen this before or heard me talk about it before, might be thinking, wait a second, Red Line isn't about love. Red Line's about racing. It's an epic race story about this cool intergalactic race that happens once every 5 years called the Red Line. Well, you'd be right. That is entirely true. But an underlying storyline within this is this interesting love story between the main character Sweet JP, who is pictured here on the cover, and you can see him kind of in the back, here, and the alluring Sanoshi, who is the female character you can kind of see in the picture there. Fortunately, there's not any other artwork to go on, at least as far as the box is concerned. And basically, their love through time. One of the interesting things, at least in the storyline here of Redline, is that JP and Sonoshi had met when they were much, much younger. And in fact, it was pretty much Sonoshi's determination that got JP to start being more determined about racing. And then they meet up again through this Redline race, and he kind of woos her, and together, and this is entirely true, and definitely spoiler warning right here, folks. As the ending comes out, they wind up sharing the ride during the red line as Sonoshi's ship gets destroyed, in order to get to the finish line. That's kind of JP's gift to Sonoshi, is getting to the finish line, and together their love flourishes as they're propelled across the finish line via the explosion of the engine that they're riding along in. And they end the whole entire movie with them kissing at the finish line, having won the red line together. The power of love succeeds. In fact, even the movie itself ends with this cool stylistic love text that shows up. It just says love and then the end. Because after that point, who cares? They got together and it was cool and awesome. So yeah, that's Redline. If you're looking for an interesting date flick that does have a really cool and interesting love story undertones, this one is for you. And next up on the list, my number 2 is Bastard. Now, you might be thinking, wait a second, a show that's called Bastard, how can this be about love? Well, that is furthest from the truth, despite the fact that Dark Schneider, the main character here, is the bastard. He is not just the bastard, he's a bastard, he's the bastard. He is the epitome of everything. I mean, well, let's just put it this way. There's a character in here, Arshis Ney, whom Dark Schneider raised from a child, and after raising her, starts screwing her. She goes from being his daughter to being his lover, and she's okay with it. As it all stands out. In fact, the whole storyline between the two of them is really beautiful. I mean, she is his old girlfriend, and then she tries to kill him. I mean, there's a whole episode dedicated to this epic battle between these two lovers, and basically the fact that, the one lover can't kill the other because they love each other. It's too much. And that's Bastard. And even on top of all that, even with just that thing, there's this whole overlying love story between Dark Schneider and the kid that he's sealed into, and his new girlfriend, effectively, who I believe Yoko is the female character's name, who is his new love interest. The kid that he's, part of now, loves Yoko, and as such, so does Dark Schneider, which makes for a very interesting dynamic between Dark Schneider and Arshis Ney. And yeah, that's exactly what this is. Overall, the whole storyline is not necessarily all about love, but there is that love in there. In fact, it's a love triangle. Well, actually, it's triangle of three women. It's more like a harem, really. Dark Schneider's sweet on Yoko, sweet on Arshasne, and sweet on Princess Shayna. Three women all at once. He is, well, lack of a better term, the bastard. So, yeah, if you're looking for an interesting sword and sorcery show with a little bit of romance mixed in, this is a good one to pick up this weekend. And number 3 on the list is Shinesman. Now, those of you who know the Shinesman, and by this point haven't quite picked up the theme here, might be thinking, what love story is there in Shinesman? Like, seriously. Shinesman is a satire of Sentai. And that's exactly what this is. This is an awesome satire on the whole Sentai genre. If you know Power Rangers and, well, pretty much, every type of anime, Japanese, anything that has a group of characters all in colors and whatnot that transform and whatnot. It's Sentai is what this is. And Shinesmen are the special duty combat unit from a big corporation and whatnot. And they destroy corporate enemies, monsters, things like that. And well, yeah, this is very zany. This is a very weird, odd show. There is this really heartwarming love story that happens in the course of this. In fact, it's actually one of the reasons why I wish there was more of Shinesman than there actually is. Like, Shinesman itself, at least the anime, is only 60 minutes long. Now, I'm not sure if there's any more storyline in a manga form or whatnot. If there is, I'll let you guys know. But there's this whole extra storyline between the main character, the Red Shinesman, who is the only Shinesman who picked a color that is a standard Sentai color. All the rest are weird colors like sepia, moss green, gray, salmon pink. Though, I mean, pink's kind of close, but it's salmon pink. But there's this love story between the main character and the bad guy. Princess Shayna, I think is her name. She falls in love with the main character, Hiroya, and it's very it's cute, it's heartwarming that and it's definitely an interesting take on it where like the bad guy falls in love with the good guy, and it creates a very weird dynamic between the two as far as it goes. Because I mean, obviously the bad guy is trying to win, but can't necessarily bring herself to lay harm upon the good guys. So yeah, Shinesman is overall just a weird, zany, odd show, and it has this slight little sliver within its 60 minutes of this interesting love story between those two characters. And if you're looking for something weird, zany, wacky, fun, Sentai-ish with a little bit of love for this weekend, well, Shinesman should be right up your alley. Coming up at number 4 on this arbitrary list, because none of these are really in any way, shape, or form ordered, to be honest, is Macross Plus. Now, fans of the Macross series and know of the storylines of Macross know that pretty much every Macross has some form of love story in it. And Macross Plus, being my favorite Macross series, has actually a lot of it in it. Now, the love story isn't necessarily the main leading storyline, but it is a underlying story that it's this thread that continues throughout the whole entire thing. There's this very interesting love triangle between the two main fighter pilots, old friends, Gold and Isamu. Actually, it's the two guys that you can see there on the cover, and their other childhood friend, Myung, who is the black-haired chick in that photo. Now, the three of them have this interesting love triangle between them. They're all kind of intertwined together in this weird, interesting fate. And then on top of it all comes the fourth player in this, and the fourth player is Sharon Apple. Sharon Apple is the idol in Macross. Those of you who know of Macross, there's always, it's always fighter pilots fighting aliens or whatnot, and then there's always some form of music, because that's how they fight, is through culture, singing and whatnot. And usually it's a actual person. Well, Sharon Apple is she's the other one, the one almost all in red. She is a computer program. She is a digital idol, kind of similarly to some digital idols that we have going around today, like Miku and whatnot. But Sharon Apple actually has the way everything works as far as the storyline goes. She doesn't have a full personality or whatnot, and she gets all of that personality and whatnot from Myung. Well, after a couple of backhanded dealings and something, she gets made whole and complete, to be a complete, full, autonomous thinking being. Unfortunately, a lot of the input from Myung got inside of Sharon Apple, and one of the things was Myung's love for Isamu. And so Sharon Apple takes it upon herself to give Isamu the greatest gift that she could ever give. In fact, according to Sharon, it's the only gift that Isamu can love, and that is the chance to push himself, to push his boundaries as a fighter pilot, by basically trying to kill him. That is her gift, her loving gift to this man that she loves, is to try and kill him, and kill her maker, and pretty much enslave the whole entire human race in the process. But yeah, Macross Plus is a really, really good melodrama. Great music, great visuals, really cool. If you can pick up a copy of Macross Plus, I highly recommend it. And obviously the love story in this is a very interesting one to behold. So yeah, that's Macross Plus. And finally, rounding up this list at number 5, or at least the 5th one that I'm going to show you guys, is Kimaguri Orange Road. Now, the disc I have here is unfortunately the only bit of core that I actually own, and that is the second movie, Summer's Beginning. A lot of core fans, if you happen to be a core fan or know of Kimaguri Orange Road, would know that Summer's Beginning, the second movie, New Kimaguri Orange Road, it's not as good as the first one, not as good as the whole storyline, or, a lot of people don't care for this one because it kind of throws a wrench into what most people considered this really nice buttoned-up ending of Kimaguri Orange Road. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is, this is the only show on this whole entire list where the primary storyline is your typical melodrama. But it's a melodrama with a twist, and we'll get into that in a second. I mean, the storyline is basically you've got Kyosuke, who falls in love with Madoka, this, woman you can see pictured here. And so he kind of he wants her, and he recently moved into this new town and whatnot, and winds up in the class with Madoka. Now, Madoka has a friend, Hikaru, if I remember correctly, is her name, and unfortunately it's not on the back here, but I'm pretty sure it's Hikaru is her name, and she kind of latches on to Kyosuke, and they kind of, from that point on, start going out. They're all good friends. Effectively, it's what happens. Kyosuke becomes good friends with Madoka through Haruka, and together, all three of them kind of become good friends. Though the whole entire time Kyosuke is with Haruka, he's pining for Madoka and trying to win her over, win the heart of his fair maiden, all the while staying together with the Easy. The other girl, she kind of latches onto him and doesn't let him go, and he just kind of goes with the flow, and she's easy to maintain, so he easily maintains her, and that's why it's really cool to see the way this show ends, and it's one of the reasons why I highly recommend it. It is a fairly long TV series. Kimigori Orange Road, I think it's like 42 episodes long, and then there's a movie that actually ends the story. Like you got the original set of story, and then the movie actually comes to an ending and puts a nice button on the end of this story, this love triangle between these three characters, and finally, at the end, Kyosuke makes an actual decision. And, unfortunately, when you've got a story like this, someone's going to wind up with a broken heart. And it is gut-wrenching, horrible, and I'm not going to give away the actual ending. You'll have to watch it to find out. And then this happened, and it kind of ruins it a bit. But either way, though, Kimigori Orange Road is a great story, and this is something that if you happen to have a significant other, this is a good one to sit down and watch with your significant other. Even if neither of you are really all that big into romantic stories, one of the things that makes this show so interesting is that there's the twist in all of this, and I said I was going to get to it, so I'm getting to it right now. The twist is Kyosuke comes from a family of espers, ESPers. They have extraordinary powers. They have ESP, so they can read each other's minds. They can teleport. There's a whole lot of different things that they can do. There's even some points where there's some time travel that happens. So it's a fascinating story where the whole family, all of Kyosuke's family, is trying to hide the fact that they have these powers while using these powers or having to fix things via the powers. And the whole entire time they're trying to, live a normal life and not have people find out about them. So this is this really big thing in this whole entire story of, Kyosuke is maintaining these relationships and trying to, be the man for Madoka and, pine for her, all the while trying to keep her from finding out that he has these ESP powers. And it makes for a very interesting and funny show from time to time, and it's really a great one to pick up. So I can't recommend it enough. Kimiguri Orange Road. Look it up and watch it with someone, or by yourself with whatever it is you watch anime with. And that brings us to a close. So like I said, all 5 of these shows, other than Kimiguri Orange Road, have little bits of the melodrama, the romantic thing into it, but overall are about something else differently. Now, granted, core is something a little bit different. But yeah, they're all really good shows. I highly recommend each and every single one of them. And this is the time of year to think about, to kind of think a little bit about love. So why not stop it with the blood and guts and, shonen angst and all of the other fun stuff, and get into a little bit of the lighter fare. I'm not saying, hop down and watch, the lovey-dovey story where, it's, love this, love that, ooh, mushy, mushy, kissy, kissy, all the time. No. Get in red line and watch a guy race into someone's heart. However it goes. Well, guys, that's all I have time for today. So if you liked this episode, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any interesting anecdotes you want to say about what I have, or maybe even potential suggestions for, some more of these little tidbits, let me know in the comment section below. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. All of the social media links are in the description below. And of course, if this is your first time seeing me, I want to thank you guys for tuning in up till this point and following me through all this, and all of my typical viewers. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you. If you want to check out more of my content, I encourage you to hit one of these two links above my head. They'll take you to some other videos of mine, and if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button above my head. If you like my content, it'll put you front row and center whenever I release something new, as it will show up in your YouTube feed, and obviously, of course, it helps me out by doing it as well. And of course, I have to plug my Patreon. I encourage you to take a second, check out my Patreon, and consider becoming a patron of mine. All the money that's put in through Patreon will go right into upgrading equipment and things like that for this channel. And of course, I want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and I hope to see you all again next time. This is Nate, the old school otaku, wishing you a happy Valentine's Day, or a happy, well, I guess I'm alone day. Either or, though, this is Nate, the old school otaku, signing off. Chocolate. As much as I've been tossing this thing around, I hope I don't wind up breaking a bunch of this.